If this is your first video in this series, here's a brief intro. The world around us is complex. Our mind does a beautiful job of understanding and simplifying it. But this highly efficient machine has some limitations too. Sometimes, to simplify things, our understanding gets influenced by our wrong presumptions, aka cognitive biases. In this series, we will talk about the 25 most important cognitive biases. Before beginning our discussion, this series covers all the necessary details of these biases. But if you are interested in knowing further about any topic, let me know in the comment section. Comment the name of the bias and I'll make a detailed video on it. So let's get started. The spotlight effect. Imagine you are in a mall. While using the stairs, you trip and fall. Your face will turn red from embarrassment. You will feel like 100 pair of eyes are looking at you. But is this true? How about I tell you, the number of people noticing you is way less than you imagine. The belief that a lot of people are observing you is called the spotlight effect. We feel like there is an invisible spotlight shining upon us every time. In reality, this is never true. We also tend to believe our thoughts and perceptions are objective and accurate. Hence, other people must be thinking the same thing. The reason for the spotlight effect is the innate tendency to forget that although you are the center of your world, you are not the center of everyone else's. People are busy in their own lives, facing their own problem. To avoid this, remind yourself that others are just as focused on themselves as you are on yourself. Understanding the next bias will help you decrease the harm caused by accidents or other unfortunate events. It's the bystander effect. The bystander effect tells us that the more the number of people present at any unfortunate event, the less likely people will help the victim. You would have experienced it many times in life. There's a road accident and nobody comes to help the victim, especially if the victim is male. Just a joke. This happens because of two reasons: dispersion of responsibility and the need to behave in correct and socially acceptable ways. If other observers are not helping, we tend to believe that a response is not needed. So, if you are near an accident, don't merely shout, "Call the ambulance." Point towards a specific person and tell them to call the ambulance. The next bias is a naive way of looking at the world. The just world hypothesis. The just world hypothesis causes us to assume that the world is fair. You get what you deserve. In other words, if you do good, you will eventually be rewarded, while those who do evil are ultimately punished. The opposite of this is unjust world belief. In this, we believe that good deeds are punished. The just world bias is beneficial until it motivates you to do good deeds for long-term benefits. However, sometimes we start judging people's action based on what they are receiving. If somebody is experiencing diseases or failure, we judge them as evil or lazy people. The real world is not entirely just white or completely unjust black. It's somewhere in between, or it's 50 shades of grey. The next bias in our list can give you both a sense of satisfaction or the inability to correct wrong choices. The choice supportive bias. Have you ever noticed this? You are confused about the pros and cons of all the options while making a choice. But after making a choice, you start feeling that the chosen alternative is better than others. This happens specifically when our decision is not reversible. In his TED Talk, The Surprising Science of Happiness, Dan Gilbert tells us about this thinking's benefit. He tells us about the free choice paradigm. In this experiment, they chose 6 paintings and asked people to rate them from the most to least liked. After this step, they give people a choice to take home a copy of either the number 3 or number 4 painting from the ranked list. Naturally, people tend to pick number 3 because they liked it a little better than number 4. Then after some time, the participants are instructed to re-rank the same 6 paintings. They tend to rank the picture they got in the 2nd position and the one they didn't get in the 5th position. This exciting experiment tells us that we tend to ignore our choices' faults and amplify its benefits. Choice supportive bias generates synthetic happiness in our mind. This is the plus point. But if we only focus on the merits of our chosen alternative, we cannot upgrade our choices. So, be happy with what you have, but always look at the other available options objectively. The next bias will help you become a better negotiator. Anchoring bias. Is this conversation familiar to you? Case 1. This shirt costs $100, but you can get it for $50. Wow, That's a 50% discount. I'll buy it. Case 2. This shirt costs $50. That's too expensive. This is the oldest trick in salespeople's book. It works because we tend to rely heavily on the first information we receive. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman conducted a study that pointed out the weird effects of this bias. In this study, they took a fortune wheel and rigged it to stop only at 10 or 65. The participants were asked to note the numbers at which the wheel stopped, and then they were asked two questions. Is the percentage of African nations among UN members larger or smaller than the number you just wrote? What is your best guess of the percentage of African countries in UN? You will assume that the number on the fortune wheel will not affect the answer. But here's what happened. The average estimates of those who saw 10 were 25%, and for those who saw 65 were 45%. This tells us that our minds can use completely irrelevant numbers as anchors. You can avoid this bias by acknowledging that you can become a victim of it. Don't let the first piece of information that you come across to overly influence your decision. So, the moral of the story is, there's no need to be obsessed with what others think of us. The reality is that everyone has more significant concerns themselves. So, speak your mind and take some risks. Whenever in the middle of an accident, be specific in asking people to help. The world is not black or white. It's 50 shades of grey. Don't automatically defend your choices without questioning them. Don't rely too much on the first piece of information. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to make sure you never miss any video. If you like the video and want us to continue this series, please type a yes below. If you don't want the next part, then type IDGAF in the comment section.